Previously on Wine Wars.
We're not drunk.
I don't feel drunk at all.
No,
No.
that's because we've been drinking all day.
Oh, that's funny.
Wine Wars, the show with four friends who love three things: wine and Star Wars.
Welcome to Wine Wars. You're joining the four of us as we sniff, sip, and talk about wine live from our basement in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm your excellent host and spectator, and with me, as always, are Amy.
What up, and spectator?
Not a whole lot, you.
Yeah,
Yeah, you weren't prepared for
I
that.
was not. You just lobbed that right
I didn't
back
know this
at
was
me.
going to be a back and forth
Long,
segment here.
long form interview. You really threw her off her game.
Investigative journalism there.
What are you doing? I don't know.
I'm going to call that our hello from Scott.
Yeah. Hi.
Anything else?
No. I don't know how talking works.
Don't ask me questions.
And Jason.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Well, probably the top news is that this is our second round of having drinks together today.
Yeah.
Oh,
We went to an art fair, quotation air fingers, and basically just had wine.
And a
Oh, there were
Mary.
Bloody Marys.
Right,
Screwdrivers,
and a little
mimosas.
beer.
So
Little this,
We
little
were,
that.
we were
it
triple
was an
threat.
all type of alcohol kind of day.
yeah.
We were a triple threat.
Hard alcohol, beer, and wine.
Tap
Hat trick.
dancing.
A,
trick.
a booze hat trick.
Then we all took a nap, or some of us did, and then now here we are again.
Mm-hmm.
And
professionals.
we are going. This is exciting. I know I say this every episode, but this is like actually really exciting that we are doing white Burgundy today. So white Burgundy is Chardonnay.
Chardonnay.
And
That's all you
Who
need
in
to
here
know.
loves
Let's drink.
Chardonnay. And spectator.
She does. It's true.
The favorite white.
But before we get to that, we have to talk about Star Wars.
Big time.
So today was the Comic-Con release of the behind the scenes of Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And again, I cried.
Okay.
I got, as we watched that clip, I got goosebumps that basically started below my earlobes and slowly melted down my body and stopped somewhere around my ankles.
It was very sensual.
Sounds like a quaalude.
What? Is this 1975? You do lewds?
I've never actually seen a lewd.
No.
He's not a lewd dude. Anyway, that's the experience that it was for me. I'm just a sensual person. I feel things.
The kind of the key things that most exciting about it, kind of as we talked before, and they really highlight on it, is the practical effects.
The realism.
Right, like there's an actual, alien in a rubber suit
Right.
next to you instead of a
It's
computer-generated
not all
image.
CGI, thank goodness.
Right.
It's
So
gotta be
pretty-
way easier to act to.
Oh yeah,
Hey, there's something there to act with.
Right.
instead of just a ball on a string.
I wonder if they had done the same behind the scenes kind of film for the last three
The prequels.
piles of shit. If they had, the actors would have had that kind of enthusiasm.
I
mean,
bet you they did.
they
It's
looked
still a Star
so
Wars movie.
happy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
But they seemed happy about the part that it wasn't all CGI. They weren't all performing
They
in
weren't
front
talking
of
to balls.
green screens.
On sticks.
Right. Well,
the
and-
big difference too is the first three movies you're kind of in a world that you don't remember. In this movie, you're in a world that is like it's
continued.
part of your memory of old cool Star Wars,
Right.
and you're standing next to the Millennium Falcon. That's got to be the coolest thing in the world.
yeah, pretty much the whole trailer is just people like, "Fuck you, George Lucas. We're making real things."
Yeah. Yeah, he should have thought about that.
To
I mean,
be
we-
fair to George Lucas, though, he had to build an entire computer industry
Yes.
in order to make those movies,
Yep.
which all movies today,
LucasArts.
LucasArts, yeah, Industrial Light and Magic,
Yep.
make are all the special effects.
Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah.
Yep.
So without him doing those things, movies like,
Is that
like-
how they did New Jurassic Park?
yep. I mean, yeah, they do the special effects for everything.
Sure.
So any computer animated images, for the most part, that you're seeing in the theater is all that, and it would not have existed without doing Phantom Menace.
Probably.
And we wouldn't have original Star Wars either. So there's a lot to thank the man for,
Yeah.
but not Jar Jar.
Yeah.
But anyway, still, the cool part of this whole movie is people acting in a world that exists.
Actual actors.
Yeah.
The
So-
enthusiasm just is overwhelming. I'm so excited.
So we are, 5 months out?
December 19th, I think.
And today is what, we're recording this on the 11th?
11th?
So a little over 5 months. Snap.
It's
better
gonna
get
go
in
by
line right now.
fast. Yeah.
Let's all go.
I was thinking that maybe we should think about doing a podcast in line.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
And it would
That
be
could be
super fun to be
su-
drinking on
yeah.
in the line.
Oh.
We got big
We'll
enough
figure
purses
it
so we
out.
could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sippy cups.
What was
Thanks, Overture Center.
Oh yeah, you could. I bet you it's at the.
Oh, I gotta see it in the IMAX.
Yeah.
Oh, we should go to the new theater in Sun
Sun
Prairie.
Prairie. Yeah. You can
With the
drink there.
reclining seats that you can put your feet up, and it's like a lazy boy chair.
And they sell booze.
Yes.
Okay.
What was
And
the-
it's
Check.
a huge screen.
So for the longest time in my life, I had never seen a James Bond movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a text out of the blue. Amy and I were out at dinner, and I get a text from Jason. Hey, come see the new James Bond with us. I'm like, all right, I guess there goes that streak.
Well, because I'd tried to get you to watch some James Bond with me, and you're like, no, I can't watch it.
No, it was a thing
Yeah.
for 9 years. I'm just like, no, I'm never gonna watch one. I just hadn't. So I'm never gonna do it. And then you're like, but Skyfall is supposed to be the greatest. Everyone's like talking just good things. And then we stopped at a liquor store and bought a bottle of Shiraz on the way in, and somehow snuck that in someone's giant purse, I believe. And the funniest
I
thing
don't know
is
if you're supposed to fest to this. We're gonna get like
From who?
letters and fines.
from who? The NFL?
Yeah, the NFL.
Unlicensed reproduction broadcast? But,
This story may or may not be true. Just disclaimer.
yeah,
It's
this
a
is all
stupid
entertainment.
law anyway.
It
I
is
don't
a
want to go on
stupid
record
law.
with that.
And you
But
wouldn't have to
it-
do that if they just sell it to you there.
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah,
and
we
I
would
would
buy it
pay
there
for it,
on
and
a
you would make
premium.
money from me.
Yeah.
But now you missed that opportunity. Now I have a big purse.
But it's always funny, like when the trailers start playing for the movie, and then you just see Jason kind of lean over and like look around, make sure the coast is clear, and it's,
That was the noisiest cork I think I've ever heard get removed from a bottle.
It's funny that we didn't get a screw top. I actually had to bring in a corkscrew.
I had to buy one on the way in
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
when we bought the wine.
That's
we had
why
to
we
buy
have
one.
like a half a dozen corkscrews.
And then, of course, it makes the pop.
Yep.
You see people turn their heads.
Hey, that doesn't sound like something they sell here. It's because it's not.
Anyway, Skyfall was a piece of shit.
No.
Yeah, it was awful.
Haters be hating, bitches
It ended,
be
and I'm like,
bitching.
that's the best one.
No, it was not the best one.
No,
The one in
Casino Royale.
The Casino Royale.
I still
Awesome
haven't seen that.
movie.
You
Oh
should
god,
see that
there
one.
are parts of that are so hot.
Is that Eva Green?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh, I love her.
Right? The girl from Penny Dreadful?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. She plays Vesper, Lynn.
Yeah.
That's Eva Green.
And has no facial recognition software.
I
She
have the
cannot.
same thing that Brad Pitt has. Can't recognize.
Oh, he
Sometimes
really
I
does
come home and
have
she's like,
that?
"Who are you?"
Yeah.
I thought you were pulling my leg when I told you
No,
that
that's a
my
real
mom
thing.
has that.
No, yeah.
that's a real thing. He's got it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Wow.
It's a real thing. He's got it.
Yep.
Yeah. He's the only reason he knows who Angelina Jolie is because
Well, he's got boob recognition software.
Oh, sure. Do you suppose he gets his kids mixed up?
I don't know. Maybe.
that's awkward.
I'm
the
sure
whole thing's awkward.
That's got to be
Yeah.
yeah. That's,
I'm sorry you
It's
live
a
with that, Ann.
It's a real disease, people.
so other big things from the trailer. It was really cool to see the scale models
Yeah.
of the.
Some of them
TIE
looked
fighter.
really tiny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like there's that Warhammer game where the nerds paint the little figurines that are like half a centimeter tall, and they have like 5 billion of them, and they're all somehow different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder.
exactly like that.
It was like that. Yeah.
Yep.
I love the part where the guy who is one of the set builders. He's like, I get to come in every day and I get to build an X-wing or the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
I come to work every day with a smile on
Yeah.
my face.
I know. Like, I want to be that happy.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the ultimate thing to get to make. If that's your job, that's probably why you got into that industry in the first place.
Right.
And to be able to like, I'm the guy who gets to build the real Millennium Falcon.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be the coolest.
Yeah, I always
freaking awesome.
like listening to or watching like behind the scenes like audio, how you build audio files for like the lightsaber and the guys like. So I recorded the projector starting up and then recorded the hum of my fridge and this and then he would put the mic on a string and set that Doppler effect
Yeah.
so
Oh,
like
Really?
that'd be a dream
Yeah.
job
I didn't
too, yeah.
know that. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Yeah, so he'd have the built sound coming out of a speaker and then have a mic on a cable and just would swing it around the room. So it would go, it would run past the mic and it would go. Vroom, vroom.
Oh, it's like NASCAR.
Yep, exactly.
Super cool.
Turn to the left.
We did that in
Wow.
real application. We needed a tremolo effect. We didn't have that, so we did that when we were recording in Nashville. And you just spin the microphone around, and it picks up this, the speaker, and gives you that effect. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And your arm gets really worn out trying to do that for a.
And you got to do it in time too, probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever need help with that, I have two.
Two guns.
Two guns.
Where that? I'll help you out.
For those of you who can't see Amy's guns,
Oh, yeah,
they're
that's
pretty
right.
impressive.
This isn't recorded on
You
TV.
can't hear that?
You can't hear the gun show here?
Wow. Look out.
Purr. I know. It's
You should
crazy.
tweet a picture of your guns.
Oh, yeah, we should do that.
Well, while she's doing that, what white Burgundy.
Yes.
So what inspired us to do that this week?
First off, we Anne is the biggest fan of Chardonnay on the planet, and the one of the best producers of Chardonnay in the world comes from Burgundy.
And
What
who's that?
are you speaking of? Druin?
Well, I'm just in
Oh, in
general,
general.
the
Okay.
region of Burgundy. So we had
Right.
done a Chardonnay episode earlier, and we wanted to drill it home here. So we went to the source.
So when we did that Chardonnay episode, we purposely just skipped Burgundy and kind of was like, we're doing a whole separate show just on that. And it's not just Anne Spectator. I mean, a lot of people say that this is the region where you're going to get the best expression of what a Chardonnay is, and there's not usually a ton of oak, and you're going to get something very pure to explore. And we're going into several of the regions so we can kind of experience what's different about all the regions too.
And it's really interesting too because Burgundy is made up of 5 subregions, and we have wines from 3 of them, and they're all very different climates and soils and everything. So you can get very different styles of wine from the Chablis area versus the Mâconnais, which we'll talk about more. But really pretty interesting that you can have such variation within a Burgundy. So just going to a restaurant saying Burgundy, I have a white Burgundy. Well, you still need to know a little bit more detail behind what you're going to get from a Chablis versus just a Burgogne labeled
Yeah.
white.
Should we get into this? Because there is a lot that's intimidating about anything French wine when it comes to ordering it or buying a bottle or whatever. We talked about in the Pinot episode that usually on the bottle it says Bourgogne, and that means Burgundy.
Yes.
And that's going to mean, if it's a red, probably
Pinot
Pinot,
Noir. Yep.
Noir, and if it's white, it means Chardonnay.
Correct. Yeah.
But
and
then it gets much more complicated than that.
and what from all the studying I was doing, Burgundy has the most like research and laying out of regions and of any wide region in the world. You can get more information on Burgundy than pretty much anywhere else that you look. And like you said, it's really intimidating. Like it took me several days just to be able to memorize the order of all the different subregions.
I'm
But-
so glad you did that so I don't have
But it's,
to.
at least it's refreshing that you walk into a wine store and you say, oh, okay, I'm looking at a Burgundy and it's red, it's Pinot Noir. If I'm looking at a white,
That's true.
it's Chardonnay. And then from there, it's sort of just, figuring out where
Tweaking it.
Yeah. If if you try 2 or 3 bottles, like,
This is a great example.
yeah,
of what we have
Chablis
tonight.
is like, oh, I really love Chablis whites. So
So do you want to talk about the subregions? Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah, but first I wanted to make a disclaimer that everyone's coughing and Scott sounds like crap because I think those Canadian fires brought all the smoke down and everybody's allergies are terrible. We all sound like hell. Okay, so that's what's going on there.
is that true?
Yeah.
Canadian fires. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so yeah, subregions. Do me.
So
Is it- oh,
I'll start off. We're in the Cote de Beaune area. Am I saying that right?
Are we
Cote de
starting
Beaune,
with
yep.
the wine, or did you want to?
Well,
do
we can.
something
So
more?
Cote de Beaune is a part of Cote d'Or. So when you look at your wine, most likely if the Burgundies that you get are going to be from Cote d'Or, which is the second most northern region, sub-region of Burgundy, and that's actually two. Communes in there, which is Cote de Nuit, which is where our Pinot Noir was from last time on the Pinot Up, and then Cote de Beaune is where you're going to typically get your Chardonnays. So that's cut in half, and then below that is Cote Chatelain, which we didn't get anything from tonight, but where's my notes on that?
That's not one I've even heard of.
Yeah, it's not super well known outside of in the U.S. So that does mostly red. It's 60 red, 40% white. Then Mâconnais is south of that, which is where the wine that we're talking about, I'll talk about later, Pouilly-Fuisse is from. And then below that is Beaujolais, which is all just red Gamay grape. But then way to the north is Chablis, and that's where Anne will be talking about that later. So
All of those are regions. We're
Right.
still talking Chardonnay grape, and the whole thing is central and a little bit east in France, except for Chablis, which is reaching pretty far north.
right,
And this whole area is south of Dijon.
except for Chablis.
It's not south of Dijon.
It's northwest.
Oh,
but
weird.
not by a lot. It's more west than north.
Yeah.
So
Which all of that is southeast of Paris.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Chablis is basically halfway between Dijon and Paris.
Oh,
So
weird! I didn't realize the
that
region was
helps.
that big.
The Chablis part's like
Yeah.
this bump out
Yeah.
that goes north and west.
It's kind of the renegade, but if you think about it, flavor-wise, I would agree with that statement.
Mm-hmm. We'll get to that. But
Yeah.
we can start with Cote de Beaune.
Yeah, the Cote de Beaune. A lot of time you'll see Cote de Beaune Village, and that's really the more typical. And it's the southern part of Cote d'Or, and they call it the limestone ridge. It's a very limestone and iron-rich soil.
Oh, and before anybody gets any crazy ideas about hard ridges on Côte de Bones, I'm just going to spell it out for you. Okay? So Côte de Beaune, but it's Beaune.
I thought when you started talking about ridges,
Ridges
and bones.
Yeah.
I thought you were heading in a different path there.
No. I don't,
Amy? No.
no.
All right,
Have
sorry.
you read my books? They're like good enough for Puritans to read.
Yeah.
Everybody laughs.
That's not
Okay.
But we're drinking Bouchard, Pere, and Fils.
Père et fille.
Pere Fille.
Père et fille.
And what does that
Ah.
mean?
Father and son.
Oh yeah.
Father and son.
There you go.
Yes. And then, again, it's a Chardonnay. What's weird about this wine is it says Chardonnay on the label, and typically
is-
it wouldn't say what
Right.
the grape is.
That's
Yeah,
like a bad sign, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, so
Or are they gearing their labeling towards an American market?
a lot of producers want to put Chardonnay on the label because most U.S. buyers buy by.
The grape.
The grape.
Not
Right,
the
exactly.
region.
So this
Right.
is
Because
probably altered for the
If
American
you know
market.
anything about Americans, we suck at geography around the world. Like, where's Tanzania? Who gives a shit? Right?
And
Yeah.
in Burgundy, they have a bunch of different laws for how you can label the wine. So even more confusing you get on that. But if it has Chardonnay on the label, it's not going to be like a Grand Cru or a Premier Cru or anything like that. So it's kind of it just says Burgogne on it, which is kind of their entry level, meaning it's a Chardonnay from that region. So that's kind of from what the government says. Okay, we'll approve it as that much, but we're not going to say it's any more than that.
Yeah. And this producer has a bunch of different vineyards in all the like major growing plots. And there's I guess a bunch of famous ones. And then there's 4 that I think are the very famous Cote de Beaune vineyards. Yeah, exactly. But this, my guess is because it's a blanket kind of easy drinker that it's sourced from a ton of different vineyards.
So, since it's sourced from a bunch of different vineyards, this is not going to have a vintage year on it. Oh, it does.
It does have a
yeah.
vintage year, but
So
it
that-
doesn't list a specific vineyard site.
But it probably all comes from one vineyard if there's a vintage on it.
No,
right?
that would mean it's a single vineyard.
Oh.
So they can take grapes from anywhere, and then once they're in
In
the
a single
vat in
year.
a single year, yeah.
Okay.
But it is all 2012, and that year, in terms of a growing season, was really rough. There was lots of like hail and rain,
Oh.
and so it was kind of a disastrous, kind of growing season. But apparently August was really good, kind of saved the
Turned it around.
vintage. Yeah.
I wonder too if they say Chardonnay on it because it sounds like of all the Bourgognes in the American market, it is this Cote de Beaune that is the most popular for the American
Yeah.
palate.
Yeah, I think I saw. I don't have it here. I'll have to check my notes, but I think 2/3 of the Burgogne from Cote de Beaune is sent to the U.S.
Oh,
Maybe it was Chablis. I'll have to see if I can find my notes.
so
on
they're
that.
definitely playing to this.
And this was
market.
$18.99.
Yeah, $19. Not bad price. It's a really tasty wine.
Yeah.
When we first popped it open, it wasn't too great, but it was because we just bought it from the store, so we needed to chill it a bit. Mm-hmm. And it really opened up a whole lot.
Yeah. It's not so aggressive on your tongue. It's a lot softer now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice and soft. I would say buttery.
Yeah, it's got some
Yeah.
creaminess to it.
And silky.
Yeah, not that it was harsh when we opened it, but it was just like I wasn't quite ready.
Yeah, before it was a lot crisper and more acidic, I think, but now it's evened out a bit. So, but it's really nice tasting wine. So, what do you think, Anne?
Well,
You're not into it.
I don't think it's creamy. I think it's like lemon lime tartness. I mean, I guess the cream's a different thing.
Cream's
It's
a
more on
texture.
the
Yeah,
it's more on the nose, I think, the creaminess.
I think it still has a bit of
It's got bite.
bite to it. Yeah.
Would you bring this to a book club?
Yeah.
All right.
The other essence
Yeah.
to all of these wines is, it is a Chardonnay grape, but it's all about the terroir. It's all about, the different composite soils and all that. So their style is to let the soil be the star.
It is round on the finish, and it probably is oaked.
I would think so. In Cote de Beaune, they typically use oak in the production style.
Which would also make sense if they're making it for Americans. We like that.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily they're making it for Americans, so they use oak. I think that's just kind of tradition there.
Well,
okay, yeah.
And that's why Americans like it.
Got it.
That, would
That
be
makes
my
sense.
guess.
That makes sense.
And as in other places in France, are they still using like oak from Slovenia or other countries?
Probably French oak.
It would be French oak, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Italy sometimes will use.
Slovenian,
Slovenian.
oak.
Yeah.
But is France pretty?
They're going to use their own typically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just
They might use some American oak as well.
oh. But Italy's the one who outsources the oak.
I think so, yeah.
I don't think there is such a thing as Italian oak, but,
No.
but
think
definitely
so.
French oak. And the French like new oak. I think.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
so probably all these have a decent amount of new oak on them, and then they toss them in the steel vats for the remainder.
It was when we were in Bordeaux. It was interesting that they had you could use the barrel like 1 year.
Yeah.
That was it, and then sell it off.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This is lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good $19 white, which I don't want to ever spend $19 on white.
Oh, Jason.
Jason.
Let's see how much you spent on the next one that we talk about here.
I know, right? Are we going to Chablis?
Let's do it.
Let's take a little car ride northwest.
When I think of Chablis, I think of
I'd like to.
don't they talk about it in 80s movies? Isn't it like, oh, if I'm sophisticated, I want a Chablis. It's like a
I think that's what my granddad drinks out of a box.
that can't be.
No. What am I confusing it with?
White Zin.
Thank you.
No,
a healthy
there's another
pour.
one that's not that. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
It's not
But
Chablis.
I think it was like back in the day, like, oh, sophisticated people just say they like Chablis, but nobody really even knows what they're talking about when they say it. It's just like, oh, it sounds like fancy wine.
Yeah, it's a fancy French word. I want to have that.
Right. And easy to
That's what I
remember.
always assumed it was.
but
Right.
it's so good.
But dear God, it's so good.
There's a reason why fancy people say fancy words like, I'd like a
Yeah.
Chablis.
And I have to say, this particular one, I don't know what to say about it because there's very little information about its Domaine Chatelain, and I couldn't find freaking anything except that on the label itself is the name Alfio Morricone, which does not sound French.
Alfio?
Alfio.
Alfio Morricone. So we Googled that, and we figured out that he is the distributor or the wine finder and distributor through Total Wine. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, got this at Total Wine in Minneapolis.
This is an Italian guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he is. And his thing is 40 years of experience in finding small batch, really special European wines and importing them through Total Wine in Minneapolis.
I'll bet that guy smiles when he goes to work every day.
Yeah, right.
I get to do this for a living.
And they
His
even
name's right on the label. It's so interesting.
so they even figured out that he has such prestige in doing this work, and he's done it for so long, that he puts his name right on the label.
Yeah.
And what it's supposed to say to us is, you've stumbled upon quite a find. This is a really high quality wine. But I suspect that this probably is a small batch kind of thing that you're not going to find in a lot of other places.
Just a small family producer or something like that.
Except
Yeah.
anybody can find Total Wine.
Well, if you live in Minneapolis.
They're everywhere. They're not in
really?
Wisconsin that I know of, but it's a chain.
Oh.
So my guess is this is one of those things where they bought it and had this producer make a ton of it just for Total Wine.
Oh, wow.
And they don't just sell wine. Yeah, they have beer and liquor there too. It's
So-
not Total Wine.
Not totally wine.
So Total Wine is in Minneapolis?
It's a chain and they're everywhere. So I've been
But
to
not
them in
here.
Fort Worth, Texas.
Right.
So I've never seen one in Wisconsin.
Where did you get this one at?
Minneapolis.
Where did you? Okay. I feel like this is like we're in the Matrix or something.
Are we going to get
You
out of
know?
this loop?
There's
I
a
know.
weird,
So there's a Total Wine.
there's a weird time delay of sound getting over to Amy's ears.
Right. I just keep expecting to see like
He's
that cat
Italian.
walk behind you, like from the Matrix, and then he's
What is going
Why did that
on?
black cat just shiver?
yeah.
So it's called Domaine Chatelain, which is Chatelain. So maybe you can find it at Total Wine. But the point here is that I think it is a really good representation of a Chablis. So I'm glad we have this, even if you can't find it in your own
Deal
local
with it.
liquor shop. Like this, we're gonna just talk to you about what it means to be Chablis. And we already talked about the fact that it's pretty north for still being Bourgogne. It's actually sort of budding up into Champagne area. And that makes a lot of sense because the soils are quite similar. So it's Jurassic limestone. So I'm thinking like pterodactyls it grew out of, right? Or
Right.
maybe
You had to
maybe
pry
pterodactyls
this
weren't in the Jurassic. Somebody can
out of the
email us on that. I don't know.
I don't think
no
so.
idea.
No.
What?
The pterodactyl being during the Jurassic period.
I like to think that I'm drinking a little pterodactyl when I have a Chablis.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
like to think.
Oh yeah, there's a little pterodactyl on the nose.
But the point is that the soils are really
It smells great.
calcium rich, limestone, and some of it. Well, first, I'm gonna do a little test. Like, what would be the perfect food with a Chablis?
Truffle popcorn.
Always truffle.
Always
pop.
truffle
Okay,
popcorn.
besides that, it's I'm not even a big fan of them, but
Lobster?
I was gonna
Oysters.
oysters.
Oysters?
Real? Oh, I would love to have oysters with this on a patio somewhere, looking at one of the lakes.
Something succulent and sweet.
And
Well, it's the minerally thing. So here's what this brings to my mind is in the Ernest Hemingway book, A Movable Feast. They take him and F. Scott Fitzgerald take like a car ride, and they're picking up white wine and drinking drinking white wine with oysters the whole time, and it's like the sea. He describes it so well. The sea water and the
brine.
oyster with the
Yeah, the
mineraliness
salty, pungent ocean taste.
yeah.
well,
And
here's
then this minerally beautiful wine.
yeah, right,
I'm-
right.
Oh my
Makes
god.
me salivate.
I know.
Well, here's the fun fact.
Okay.
Okay.
This soil is actually made of oyster shells.
There it is.
I did not know that. How
I
did you
didn't
keep
either.
that
And when
from
I
me?
read it, I was like, I can't wait to drop that bomb.
Oh my!
What else have
I
you
just
told
dropped a Chardonnay
Yeah.
bomb.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a
Okay.
shablom.
Shablom. Hashtag shablom. Oh my gosh.
We should probably also spell Chablis,
Oh,
as
right.
it's a French word.
Right. Chablis. So it looks
Oh,
like
it's not Chablis.
it looks like Chablis. Yeah.
But it's,
But it's not. It's Chablis, and it's amazing.
This is a great. Yeah, I go on Total Wine website and buy this.
I wonder if
It was
they deliver.
$25.
And
I
this
think.
is Jason.
So you'd be okay, but you'd be okay spending more than 20 for this wine
On this one.
if you had it with a bunch of oysters, especially.
Yeah, this is a monster.
This is drinking terroir. You are drinking
Right.
like
For sure.
minerally, flinty.
Flinty?
I don't think I would say chalk though.
No.
Flintstones?
It's got that limestone. Yeah, just it's amazing.
I
Did
like
you-
the finish on
Really
this. It's so
balanced.
clean. I guess that's well, actually for our bubbles episode, I think that was some of the descriptors of some of the first wine the first
Oh yeah,
Champagne.
the Drouin.
right
Or
was
not. I'm sorry, Drapier.
Drapier was that it tasted just like the water that had been filtered through a limestone cave and then
Uh-huh.
and then
Stalactites and
collected
stalagmites.
in that crystal clear, perfectly transparent puddle of water on the bottom that's like you could probably drink it and it's like the fountain of life, but it probably
This tastes
I
like
don't know,
summer.
but this
Yeah.
is that is what
This
you
is
just
a
said
great
is a
wine.
main descriptor of
Just
all Chablis is this
clean.
wet stone, and it's
It's
absolutely
got
that.
just a wonderful nose on it. Not that the previous one didn't have a good nose, but this one is far more pungent, and I'm using that in a good way. It's just a lot stronger nose.
more pronounced.
Yeah.
More
Yeah,
pronounced,
the
yeah.
first one did almost. The
It was a
nose
lightweight,
Didn't really exist.
and this one's
It was there, but not nearly this much.
Yeah.
Right.
So within Chablis, there are 4 additional classifications, which gets to how very complicated things are in Bourgogne. And there's a Grand Cru is the best. There's only 7 vineyards that are producing that. Then the Premier Cru, there's 40. Then there's your just straight up AOC, and then the lowest is the Petit Chablis. But I can't figure out for the life of me what this is, and I don't have a good enough palate to say.
I think it's just AOC.
Where
I
I
think it's
think
just the
it
village.
is. But Scott, please note it's an Alfio Marachoni.
I know that.
I don't think he's just gonna be AOC.
The labeling.
The man
of that
is Italian.
It doesn't mean that the wine is going to be bad just because it's a village wine or an AOC level. So don't be afraid. Don't feel the need to go all out and spend $70 on a Grand Cru or a Premier Cru, something like that.
That's a really good lesson.
unless you're having dinner at your boss's house and you know he's into French whites.
yeah. and you
because
want
once again, it really comes
Or
down
she,
to.
or your boss could be a she. I'm so
oh,
sorry.
man.
How did that even happen?
God, no, Amy.
Yeah.
But it comes down to at a certain point in history, they gave a certain amount of vineyards the Premier Cru and the Grand Crus. So
And-
it doesn't mean that people don't make good juice elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
So-
Burgundy is super organized in the way that they set up the designations of what's Grand Cru, Premier Cru, and kind of village, and then like just local wine as well. Excuse me. And it's they set it up by the type of soil, the angle of the hillside, and then the direction that it faces. So like at the top and kind of closer to the bottom, but not quite like where the valley is. Well,
Oh,
the valley
then-
is just going to be like village wine, like just for the locals to drink. Then like kind of halfway up is probably could be equivalent of your Premier Cru. And then at the top and south would be more your Grand Cru, and then it has to face like south and southwest, so you get sunshine all the time. Because in Chablis, it's like you said, closer to Champagne, so you risk not having ripened grapes. So you get it's going to be a lot more acidic, less alcohol in it, and just more
less of the sugar.
less sugar. It's just more flavor. It's really flavorful.
Yeah, well, this was the one. I'm not tasting as much now, but when we first opened it and it just touched my tongue just was just dancing, almost like champagne.
Yeah.
But it's not effervescent. It's just really high acidity.
Yep.
Awkward silence.
And we have awkward
It
silence.
seemed like you were.
I was gonna
talking.
say something, yeah, and I got pulled off course.
Well, okay, so Chablis, the other reason that it's so pure and tastes so clean is because they really don't oak Chablis. So you're getting that true expression again.
And Chablis is 100% white. You won't find a Pinot Noir from Chablis at all. It's all going to be Chardonnay.
I did not know that. That is weird.
Okay,
wacky
so
stuff.
way back in the day, like, have they always been putting this in steel? I'm not so sure about that.
Well, no.
That's a good point.
Historically, I think way back, things might be done in like kind of cement vats. I mean, steel is 30s.
Yeah.
I mean, like you
yeah,
mass
they
produce
definitely
it.
had. Back in the day, they had. Yeah, was it concrete or
Concrete or cement, something like that.
Cement,
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen those.
Yeah, I thought that was that's a new thing, the concrete ones.
I'm gonna say that's older, but anyway, so the steel vats typically are used when you don't want to impart and don't want to alter the flavor of your wine at all. So that's why I'm gonna cough. I'm sorry, my allergies. So that's why in like California, when they use a lot of oak, you get such a different flavored wine than you do out of something like Chablis, where it's just a pure representation of the grape in the steel vats and just letting it do its thing, show off the terroir, as you say, which is very, very French thing.
right.
It's not sugary. It's all minerals.
Yeah.
It's not a sugar
Tastes like
bomb.
sucking a rock.
Right. It's a yummy rock.
Who doesn't want to suck a rock?
I was
really?
just looking, and it was in oak back in the day.
Okay, so they're actually becoming more of a purist to the terroir now that they've abandoned using the oak. But before, so like a Chablis 100 years ago probably tasted totally different
Yeah,
because of that.
yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm drinking it right now, and I like oak.
Does anybody
on my
have any
Chard,
oysters
too?
that we could shuck? Oh, shucks.
No.
All right, so that was really fun. I've been wanting to talk about Chablis since we started this podcast. So.
I think this may have been I don't drink a whole lot of Chardonnay, so this is a really nice lineup. If, again, I know we say this a lot, but if your listeners, if you can get together with a couple friends or your family, do a tasting like this where you get these three wines, put them side by side, put them in three different glasses and smell and taste all of them, and you can just really see how vastly different these wines can all be. Just a couple, 100 kilometers, because over there they measure things in kilometers.
It was so Euro of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's like 80 miles is 1 kilometer. I don't know. I'm an American.
I know.
It's far. It's an
far.
inch on the map.
But just how different things can be on
Right.
one side of town compared to the other side. Like
Oh, sure.
When you hear wine people talk about this, you're like, you're full of crap, and you're trying to make this sound more important than it is. But it makes a difference.
You
Right.
can taste it.
You can taste it.
Where are we going next?
So next, I have to glug the rest of this Chablis, which makes me
Oh.
sad.
Yeah, you
but
did a
don't-
really big
don't glug
pour on
hard.
this.
Pour it
Oh,
here.
but you got to get in the.
Everybody
Here,
pour it into my glass, and then I will sip on yours.
All right, I'll do it here. So.
Well, we got
It's like
major pours that
it's like the
time.
spit vat. What is that thing called?
The spittoon?
Spittoon.
Oh,
Ah.
Spittoon is my
A
mouth.
spittoon has never entered this household.
Yeah, I've never. That's why I never even paid attention to that idea.
Like people spit wine out?
It doesn't always go into you.
Yeah.
Silly.
That wine tasting that we did at the Wine Maniacs.
We did spittoon.
We did. And that was the first time I've ever spit out wine.
I don't remember spitting.
That it was really good. I was just like, God, I hate that I'm doing this, but I'm going to get trashed in about an hour.
I don't remember
Yeah.
spitooning anything, which might explain why we bought a rosé.
Ah. There's a lot of things that needed to be explained from that night. I bought that.
A lot of great stuff. We'll talk about that later. Actually, we bought a bunch from a single producer from
The Spanish
from
wine.
Hungary.
Oh,
Hungry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
three different wines. Three different white wines are really good. We'll talk about those on a different episode.
oh, no. I totally want to do an episode at least on Eastern European wines.
Yeah.
Because Hungary and Bulgaria.
They got
Yeah?
some good
Oh,
charm.
yeah.
It's like
wines.
Michigan.
What about does Croatia still make wine?
I would assume so,
Probably,
yeah.
because that's where a lot
That's
of
where
it
it's from.
started.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to get up in
The
that.
Thracians back in ancient times.
a
That's
different
where that all
world.
stemmed from.
I want to get.
This wine is totally different.
So what Jason just drank now is the third wine that we're drinking. So this is the most French sounding of all the wines that we're drinking. A Pouilly-Fuisse.
Pouilly-Fuisse.
Spell it for us, would you?
Pouilly-Fuisse. So that's Pouilly hyphen Fuisse. Pouilly-Fuisse.
With a finger on the E.
Voulez-vous Pouilly-Fuisse? Pouilly-Fuisse.
I've been saying that wrong
Avec
for
moi?
years.
What have you been saying?
I've always said like Pouilly-Fuisse.
Pouilly-Fuisse?
Pouilly-Fuisse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuisse.
Say it one more time for real.
Pouilly-Fuisse.
So this is from the Mâconnais commune of Burgundy, which is the furthest south you can go into for Chardonnay country. It's right kind of where all the limestone starts to cut off in the terroir, in the soil. And being further south, so Chablis is the furthest north, this Mâconnais is the furthest south. So you get vastly different climates. You actually get some Mediterranean influence from the Mediterranean Sea. It's still a ways off, but you get some of that air coming up, whereas Chablis is kind of more continental.
No maritime influence at all.
So you don't run the risk of the grapes not ripening that way. So here you kind of get a little bit fuller bodied with these than it's a little bit more of that butteriness that you'll typically get in Chardonnays. So it's not as minerally as the Chablis. It's I think, Jason, you were saying it's a lot more floral though.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't taste a whole lot today, so I'm not going to be great at describing this, but
And it's really on the nose. Like it's
wow.
it's flowery on the nose, and it's got a lot more weight to the
The mouth
body.
the
feel.
mouth feels
Yeah.
a lot more body to it.
Yeah.
so this they do. So I haven't described. So
Kind of makes you salivate. It just
all those hard
makes all the
ridges.
juices come out. And I really enjoyed this with dinner tonight. We had a tortilla. What the heck
Tilapia.
was it? No, but it was tortilla crusted
No, halibut.
tilapia.
Halibut. Excuse me, halibut.
It was halibut? I thought
it
it
was
was
tilapia.
tilapia.
And
No,
it
they
doesn't
were
really
tilapia
matter.
fillets.
No one cares. No one cares.
You know what? I used to cut fish for a living. We had tilapia.
I always learn the weirdest stuff about you.
Oh yeah, I know how to fillet a bunch of different fishes and all that weird stuff.
Really?
Yeah. I know how to clean fish. I know how to pin bone.
I don't even know what pin bone means, but it sounds kind of hot.
I can ham bone. Ow! Hurt myself ham boning.
Yep, that's why I leave it to the former professionals.
So the Pouilly-Fuisse we're drinking is Daniel et Julien Barraud. I'll ask Anne to pronounce that last name.
Sounds
Make sure-
right.
Is that right?
Julien Barraud.
Barraud. Which is a 5-generation family wine. So this actually started, founded by Jean-Marie and his wife Marie Barraud, back in 1905. So he originally was just a sharecropper in the Mâconnais region. And then he eventually saved up enough money to be able to buy a plot of land and built up from there. So over time, handed off to his son and wife and down the generations. So now it's parents and their son, Julien, he looked maybe mid-20s, something like that. So he's starting to work at the winery now as well. So he's starting to bring a little bit more modern influence into the region.
Maybe he's on the Twitter.
Could be. I
That would be
haven't checked it.
nice, France, if anybody was on Twitter out there. Hello?
Are you
Bonjour.
out there?
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Bonne
Do you say,
nuit.
is anybody there in French? How do you say that? Okay, well,
Où êtes-vous?
with vous.
Where are you?
France, où êtes-vous?
Bonjour.
And something kind of neat about this Mâconnais, the region, there's a village called Macon, M-A-C-O-N, and around there is a collective called the Artisan Vignerons of Burgogne, which is essentially just a bunch of friends. Like I think they said like maybe 20 some members or something like that, but a bunch of different wine producers.
Somebody has 20 friends.
Yeah. How many do you have?
7.
That's enough.
Just the two of you.
Yeah.
But a bunch of kind of collective getting together to help promote small production, kind of artisan wines that are being produced throughout the Mâconnais region, and trying to really promote that kind of uniqueness of the terroir and the region there. So that's kind of the gist of this. But so this is a Pouilly-Fuisse en France. So they make a bunch of different wines there, and they have a couple different Pouilly-Fuisses as well. So this one says en France on the front.
What does that mean? On France.
From France.
France,
In France,
yeah.
yeah.
So is it like the lowest of their kind of portfolio?
No, so this was $35. So it's
Zoinks.
yeah, so way out of Jason's white budget.
Yeah. My white budget is $4.99.
Do you know what it smells like? I figured it out.
Okay.
I've been trying to figure this out. A crayon.
A crayon?
Yes, it smells like art supplies.
You know, that's what you
Oh.
want on your wine.
Like
Art supplies.
what's that paper?
A little bit of pastel.
Construction paper?
Like construction paper?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
But you know, wet paper
That's super weird.
is a wine descriptor. Wet paper. So
Yeah.
like, and construction paper kind of has that essence.
But there's that dull crayon thing that you're talking about. I don't know how to explain that, but it's dull crayon.
I've been trying to figure this out since dinner, and I got it.
Like an old
Crayon.
box of crayons.
Weird.
And when you taste this, though, it just explodes all the flavors from this wine. It's
Yeah.
just amazing. I've never had one of these either. So a Chablis and a Pouilly-Fuisse, this is new territory for me.
I don't think I've had a Pouilly-Fuisse.
I have not. I know of it. I've never had one.
The way like the Chablis cleans out your palate, and it's almost, I want to say, dulling somehow. It's just clean, dulled, done.
Yep.
And
It's
this,
just a reset button.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is like, has a tiny bit of sweet, like it hits the roof of my mouth with a little bit of honey or something.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know.
A lot more
But it's-
finish. It just keeps going.
I just inhaled some of it. Sorry.
Which is
How's it
probably
taste in
why
your
a
nose?
Chablis probably goes better with a oyster, right?
Salt.
Yeah.
And
Counteract that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't think I'd want the Pouilly-Fuisse with oysters.
yeah, it'd probably be fine, but the Chablis was like friggin' made for
That
it.
the Chablis would be my first choice.
And this does have oak on it, so and it was tough to figure out exactly by which type that they were talking about on their site, but they say that they harvest the grapes, put them in a steel vat, let them settle overnight, and then they put them in oak for 10 to 14 months, and then they'll put them in steel tanks after that. So you do get some new oak on this, and it is apparent that a little bit of a butteriness to it, and like you said, kind of that fuller body.
Yeah, I'm definitely picking up the oak, but it's not like bam in my face.
No, it's not like a California. No slam on California, but it's
None of these
No.
are. They're all really
All very
well balanced.
absolutely.
Elegant.
This is what you want in a white
Dancey.
wine.
They're like a little French ballerina dancing in my mouth.
You almost feel like cleaner and healthier having drunk it.
You
You
know,
know what I mean?
That's
like
how I
it's
always feel about
enhancing
white
to your
wine.
own well-being.
have you ever gone to the spa and had them do like the sugar scrub on your whole body or like the salt scrub?
No, that sounds really nice.
They just exfoliate all the dead shit off of you, and then you're like glowing and clean.
Yeah.
I feel like this does this. This wine
your
does this
inside.
to your
esophagus?
mouth. Yeah.
It does feel that way. And I always,
Just
this is
clean.
what I want when I pour a glass of white wine. I want clean, crisp summer,
Right.
spring in my mouth. And then if it's too oaked over, which you know I do like oak, but it does, you don't get that same feeling. You just feel like you're drinking some alcohol.
Right.
This is not that. It's so fresh.
The thing for me as a non-white wine drinker, this is probably the Chablis for my money is the one that I would buy all day long. But like in a red wine, that's not the case. I would go directly for this. And anytime I buy like a white wine at a restaurant, if they have that on the, on the menu, a Chablis, bam, white
Yeah.
wine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So something kind of interesting too that when I was doing the research on this. So in all of Burgundy,
Wait, you did research?
Yeah, I do research,
Scott does research on wine on this
which is
show.
why you yell at me when I talk about it.
Oh, yeah. This is yelling, Scott.
You can't see us rolling our eyes.
Yeah, wine nerd.
So in all of Burgundy, it's only about 1 to 2% is Grand Cru level. Approximately about 12% is Premier Cru, and village wines, which is typically what you'll see in your shops, is about 36%, and then the rest is kind of just regional wines. So you won't really find a whole lot of the Premier and Grand Crus in restaurants and wine shops. And the Pouilly-Fuisse, actually in all of Mâconnais, they don't have any Grand Cru, any Premier Cru. The highest level they have is village wines, which is what we're drinking here.
So this is just like regular table wine for them.
No, this is the best of the region, is Pouilly-Fuisse.
Oh, okay.
But they don't have that designation the way that so like Cote d'Or has a lot of the Grand Cru vineyards. But what I'm trying to get at is don't let that deter you from thinking you can get a great wine out of something that's just kind of a village wine or something even just labeled just Burgogne.
Well, and that Cote de Beaune we had at first is supposedly the most expensive vineyard land on earth. So there's something to that.
In Beaune of France, yes. Yeah, the regions there can be super expensive, yes. So not necessarily the wine that we drank.
Had, right.
So within Pouilly-Fuisse, that is a sub-region of Mâconnais,
Mâconnais, yes. It's a village, I believe.
and all they have, their highest designation, just if
Just
it's
village.
from Pouilly-Fuisse,
Yep.
it's
Labeled as such.
it is what it is.
Yep. So like there was another wine Jason had got. It was from Mâcon, which is just, and again you have different designations. Is just the Mâcon region's kind of house wine, well not necessarily house wine, village wine, excuse me. So you still have different levels within your sub-regions. So again, super confusing stuff in all of Burgundy. We could spend a whole episode talking about each of these sub-regions. There's so
And
much
that will
stuff
be
going on.
season 9.
Yeah. I'm gonna need more time to research that one.
It's not important for now, really.
No.
I think like if you just took away that Bourgogne is Burgundy, and Burgundy when it's white is Chardonnay, and when it comes to that, you have a couple different choices. And
Yeah.
Chablis,
Chablis is gonna be your crisper.
Pouilly-Fuisse.
Yeah, Chablis is further north, crisper, a lot more minerality. Cote d'Or or Cote de Beaune is going to be a little bit fuller bodied. And then down in the
Probably oaked.
Pouilly-Fuisse region is going to be a lot more those explosion of
Right, because it's further
flavor.
south. It's
more
warmer.
riper. Yep, more
More
sugars
sugar in the wine.
So probably higher alcohol too.
Yeah.
Let's see what I can
Which
find.
all makes perfect sense.
I would like to also share something that I think I have learned through doing this podcast now, which is on the smelling part of it or the descriptor part of it that I have on Anne Spectator's blog. That's weird. Have the what's that smell I taste, and it's like here's a list of all the different kinds of flavors or smells you could find in a wine.
Right.
And sometimes I try to go through it, and I know this is what the sommeliers do too. Like you go through what I'm going through the fruit profiles, now I'm going through spice profiles, now I'm going through like smoke, tar, leather, whatever, and you think through all that, and then you see what's kind of popping for you. But I actually am having more success lately when I just make my mind blank and sip it, and I find that I have like memories come into my mind.
Yeah.
And things like opening the Christmas decorations, or this one, the reason I finally came up with crayon was I just went blank and I sipped it and I was like, I am picturing Mrs. Zimmerman's first grade classroom. That's what this wine tastes like to me, and why is that, and how can I break it down from there? So
That's so
yeah.
That's so cool that you mentioned that though, because like I'm trying to think of it the same way. It's like, yeah, I know that there's these, standard descriptors or whatever, but I smell like a vintage book from like the 1940s that's sitting on my
library.
There's
desk
a
at
Nancy
home.
Drew on my
Just
on
an
my-
old
on my
book.
wall.
Just crack it open and take a whiff. And
or
that's,
when we had the champagne and you were talking, I mean, this is kind of triggered by what you were saying, but we visited a cave last summer. And yes, that Drapier tasted like being in the bottom of that
right,
cave with the
like
drip,
if
drip,
the tour
drip.
guide would have turned their back around and let us lick the walls.
Yes, I think
Probably would let you do that, but you might get some funny looks.
Yeah, well, you get funny books.
There they
or
go
fun-
again.
Yeah.
Funny
Licking
looks
the
when you
walls.
open a book and take a whiff
Yep.
up the spine, and you're just like, oh, I just love.
Yeah.
It's like,
And I wonder if some of that advice about take a year or 6 months and only drink Zin until you know it inside and out, if that isn't kind of creating, it's doing that more than
Those
anything,
memories.
is creating like, oh my God, this tastes like the winter where we only drank Zin.
And that's why you got to start drinking wine when you're 8.
Right.
right, or old enough to hold a crayon onto some old paper from the
Right.
1940s.
And if I could kind of wax philosophical about wine a bit, I think
I'd
that's one of
prefer
the
you didn't.
Okay.
Carry on.
I love you guys.
Aw.
Really like being here.
are super sweet to me.
Pour your heart out,
I
wine
think that's
nerd.
one of the really cool things about wine that you don't necessarily get in a lot of other beverages. Is it's the scents trigger the memories, and you share these stories with people, right? So you talk about your Hans Zimmerman's wife, your teacher,
Zimmerman.
Zimmerman,
Posing in the background.
right, or your parents. So there was one where I said, like, this smells like my parents' like oak chest that was at the bottom of their bed. I know that's not gonna help you understand what it smells like, but it begins a story, a conversation,
Right.
and that's what's really I find interesting about wines is that it can naturally bring up conversations that you otherwise, if you were just drinking IPAs, you're not necessarily going to have that. And we like IPAs.
Right.
But
I mean, it
I
might
think,
bring.
though, that in the beer world, I think that does happen. Like
Sure. Like this tastes like the summer that I caught that big whopper on my daddy's
with the PBR.
92 Johnson boat. Whatever.
sure,
Or something.
But I
But
think
this
within
for
beer,
sure more.
yeah, you have I think you have a lot more variation in the flavors and scents in wine than you necessarily can in beer.
Right.
So
Well, if I could also keep being philosophical,
no.
I think folks here might agree that I'm a little type A and a bit of a workaholic, and so
She's type A plus.
She's definitely an A. Whole.
firstborn, etc.
Fire snake.
Fire snake, Gemini. So what wine has done for me since we really got into it, which was 2007, is it forces you to slow down and think about those things, like spend a moment on a memory. And one of the big pieces of advice you get is to actually pay attention to smelling things in general in life, like really take a moment and smell the raspberry jam you put on your toast in the morning, or so I'm trying to do that. It's part of like that slow down and appreciate things. And the more you can smell things all the time, the more you have at your disposal when you get to wine. For not like the goal isn't to be able to describe it well. The goal is just to enjoy it. And then I think for me, it's now like, oh, enjoying it is actually the experience of it and like the memories that it brings up.
Yeah, and when people say like, you spent $35 on a bottle of wine, or 60 or 70, or some $350 we saw on the menu today, and it's like, that is a boatload of money. But if you
It's a big steaming pant load.
it is, but 30. Okay, let's stick with $35. That's reasonable. 350 is a lot of money.
That's an extra zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But $35, like, we're not slamming these wines. We've been drinking them for 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever it is.
We're doing a podcast with them.
and
Right.
and enjoying.
And like, look how much it costs to go to the movies for, let's say, 4 people.
Yeah.
I went and saw Magic Mike,
$12
and I paid
twice.
$5.
You did?
She saw it twice.
I saw it twice.
So $100 she spent.
But
I did too.
I spent $5. No, it was $5.85 for a soda.
Did you tip the
Oh
screen
my gosh.
every time
Yeah.
Magic Mike danced up on the
You're
screen?
like,
Did you tip it?
$1.
No, I just squealed. I squealed in delight.
I saw a movie on the IMAX I don't remember where the hell I was, but it was $15. I think it was like $17.99.
Yeah.
Is it like a 3D one or something?
Yeah,
But like the movie's over in 2 hours, right? And so how long have we been sipping on this wine? Like 3 hours now?
Yeah.
So-
or at lunch today, we ordered a Sauvignon Gris. For one person really thought that would work for them, and then we ordered a rosé. They didn't have it. Long story. They gave us a different rosé, and some of us were not, and some of our biggest rosé fans at the table were not that into it. But
Right.
together, it all sparked this conversation. I mean, that's kind of what we talked about all.
Yeah,
the whole
and like
time
we're
at
going
lunch.
to remember that experience for the rest of our lives.
And that Sauvignon Gris, now we kind of understand Andy's palate better and why he's always eating pickles.
Our intern Andy.
Versus when Lisa, who loves her rosé, she does not want a skunk on it.
No, that was a little skunky.
Yeah,
And that might have been why I liked it.
and you did
I'm,
like it.
I'm not a huge rosé fan, but I was okay with that one.
Yeah, like I could make it work. But, I've said, and I say this as a disclaimer all the time, I'm really not that picky.
No, you do always say
between
that.
Bone Dry and Manischewitz.
is it liquid? Yeah. Does it have alcohol in it? It's
wet,
Check.
ain't
It's wet, ain't it?
Drink it.
But I guess, coming full circle, it's like, yeah, so there was a time in my life where I never would have imagined spending $35, let alone $70 on a bottle of wine, which is, I think, about where the most we've
We
spent.
drank a lot at that tasting. So
Yeah. When I got into wine, to spend $20 on a bottle of wine seemed ludicrous.
Right.
Absolutely.
But as you get into it, you start really appreciating. Well, that really did do. Hopefully, spending the extra money on a $20 or a $40 bottle is that next level of deliciousness.
Right. Well, and then I guess the reason why I mentioned the whole soda at Magic Mike experience is because the entertainment value, like,
Of
pays
Magic
off.
Mike?
Well,
Did you have to pay in dongs? Chinese currency?
they actually had, like, if you donated a sex toy, you got $1 off of
Really?
your No.
Oh,
Holy cow, they are really going for it with the marketing on this movie.
They should have, though. I was really disappointed with
$5
the
off is
turnout.
not that
Donating
great.
sex
No,
toys.
but
No.
but I just think that
Those
well,
go in the sex
if it's
cupboard.
a good wine, you know, you
It's next to Theo's treats.
Your sex cupboard?
Sex cupboard.
That's where Harry Potter lives.
Don't open that.
Point being,
Leave my Harry Potter alone.
point being, don't be afraid to venture above $15, $20.
Yeah.
Get some friends together.
and you don't have to do it all the time.
No,
but just
exactly.
you know, like just a special occasion. You know, have a little splurge that's just a tad outside of your comfort zone, just to
Live
push
a
your
little.
limit. Yeah, just
But
live a
live a
limit.
little.
there's also those nights, this is a whole other experience and memory and a good thing where it's like, Theo, it's just you and me, Dad's gone, and we're going to open up an $11 California
Yeah.
super sweet
yeah.
cab.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to watch a bad movie. And I'm not going to think about this wine at all. I'm just going to like chug it and be happy.
That's
like,
what I
love
do
it.
when
And-
he's out of town.
Right. And so then that's another thing too. Like that's, I don't know.
It's like like your guilty indulgence, like Housewives, Real Housewives.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
But I think-
Ramona. Hi.
For a
Sorry.
newbie to buy a cheap wine and buy a good wine but get some good recommendations from your,
Some
wine
friends
expert
yeah.
at the place you're buying it probably. Hopefully they've tried it,
Yeah.
not just selling you something.
Right.
Get a good recommendation and get a cheap wine and get a good wine, and
Yeah.
your experience should be different. And even if you're not a well-adjusted palate, you're going to get something out of that.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't to say you can get a great $10 bottle, because there are great $10 bottles out there.
Yeah.
But sometimes, Pouilly-Fuisse, they're going to be $30. That's just where they sit because the production is limited.
Production is limited. It's imported. It's
Right.
going to cost more.
It's from the other side of the world.
Gosh
I
darn it.
think this is like part of the type A thing that wine has helped me solve, which is you don't drink the wine and say, I like it or I don't like it. You say,
There are
oh,
many subtle levels.
this is reminding me of this, or it's tasting like this, or I'm getting this from it's a
Or I like
practice and
it-
appreciation.
Yeah.
It's not like a judgment call. It's the one place in my life where I'm not judging all the time.
Sure.
Congratulations.
To me, it makes me think of all the times that I'd be in art classes and, you do your drawings and pin them up on the wall. And then, your 25 other students that are with you, everybody critiques everybody else's stuff. And it's like the one rule that they always taught us is you're not allowed to say, I like it or I don't like it. You have to say what you like or what you don't like.
Yeah.
And you have to share that experience because nobody gives a shit if you like it or don't like it.
Right.
That
Like,
doesn't help the artist at all.
Right. Like, tell
Right.
me what's working for you. Tell
Yeah.
me where it's not working for you.
This is probably just like a basic life lesson that's taken me 30 plus, and we're not going to be real detailed about how many plus
Yeah, just
years to
couple.
But plus-ish.
figure out. Plus-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great. Like, I'm really grateful for having discovered this.
Wine is great in that respect, that it opens up an entirely new world. It's not black and white. It's
No.
lots of shades of gray.
And it's not about like, oh, well, I know if I spend more, it's going to be good. Like
Not
that's,
true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
exactly.
how to sound like a tool right there. And it's not because I think part of the problem too is that in our society, in modern America, in the Western world, we're so obsessed with like being goal oriented and we want to reach the destination, and it's like it's not about that. Channel your inner Tolkien. And remember,
journey.
it's about the journey.
Yep. And we also I paid more for this. It should
It
have
should
been
be better.
Right.
I am absolutely upset when I get a wine that was more money that kind of blows,
Right.
and it does happen.
Absolutely.
We did it. We actually had an experience. My parents bought us a bottle out in Napa, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And they said, just have this on a special night with you and Scott, we kind of paid a lot for it. I'm thinking they probably paid, like maybe 75, 80, maybe. I have no idea.
$40,000.
So we drank this bottle and we were like, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm glad that we saved it for just the two of us. But then the next time that my parents were in town, they were like, yeah, we checked out the price of that bottle and it was up to $400.
Whoa.
And we were just
And
like...
they didn't pay nearly that much.
No, they
Right.
didn't. No, my parents never pay that much for grape juice. But they were, this is people who used to make it in jugs, so.
Yeah.
But it just kind of blew me away that, I would never pay that much. I remember vaguely that wine. It was not a $400 bottle.
Yeah, it's weird as you get
Right.
drunk and you forget.
Well, it was a California blend. Nothing really to speak of.
Yeah,
it was good, but
right.
it wasn't anything like this where I'm going to remember these wines.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or like the Vincent that we had out in Oregon.
Yeah.
I still remember that. And
Yeah.
I can't remember the one that we drank. There was a $400 bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Insert the apology.
Apology.
No.
Apologize. There's going to be many of them.
Multiple apologies.
Oh, you think so?
Nah.
Aw.
All right. So we covered some Star Wars. We covered some Chard. I think that probably is going to do us for night. Any parting thoughts? We waxed poetic for a while.
I would recommend, again, if you can save up and spend a night with your friends, this was a great tasting to compare these three wines together. And again, I know I say that every episode, but
This is a standout.
this and very unique to Burgundy too, because you such different flavors and production styles from these different regions. And it is getting a bit more detailed. It's not just, here's France, U.S., and Australia, and tasting those differences. We're getting more.
And also, just in what we've done in the past, you can pick those three places, and it's sort of random. It's a crapshoot. We don't know exactly what we're buying from those places. But with these, there's a pretty good bet that the three of these wines from this place are going to be kick-ass in the first place.
Yeah.
And then to get to taste each one of them side by side is like, wow, you really do get the subtlety of each of these wines.
Right.
Yep. All within about 130 miles of each other. But it's just this long vertical stretch that...
All right.
This was maybe my favorite tasting that we've ever
You
done.
can tell because we
would
don't
agree.
seem to want to stop.
I know.
All right, but we are, though. That's been Wine Wars for this week. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Wine Wars Podcast. And be sure to visit our website, winewarspodcast.com. You can review the wines we talked about today, and you can drop us a line. Tell us what you think about whatever at winewarspodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget, you can rate and review us on iTunes. And you may have noticed we have switched now to an every other week Wine Wednesday release schedule. So every other week, that's just for our livers.
Yeah, we can't drink this much.
Yeah.
And our wallets too.
Wallets and livers every
our
other
splurge
week.
episodes really chewed up our entire fiscal
We'll
quarter.
see you in 6 months.
Donations welcome.
Yeah.
All right. So until next time, remember,
It's just grape juice.